I poured myself into a dress that cost more than my childhood home. Tonight, I'm not just an architect. I'm the woman who's going to make Alexander Sterling lose his mind in front of the entire elite. He thinks he's so clever, so untouchable. But tonight, his carefully constructed world is going to crack, and I'll be there to watch it burn. The Sterling Anniversary Gala? A monument to his arrogance. I arrived on the arm of Marcus Thorne, a rival tech mogul who relished any opportunity to needle Alexander. The flashbulbs popped, and the whispers started. I felt Alexander's eyes on me the moment I stepped onto the red carpet. He was with Isabella, his perfect plastic wife, but his gaze was fixed on me, burning a hole through my carefully constructed facade. He couldn't resist. He cut in during a waltz, his hand gripping my waist with a possessiveness that sent a jolt through me. "You look familiar, Miss Sharma," he murmured, his breath warm against my ear. "But I can't quite place the face." I smiled, a cold, predatory thing. "Perhaps you just run in too many circles, Mr. Sterling. Some faces are simply unforgettable." As we danced, the music a dizzying blur, I leaned in closer. "Do you remember that tiny apartment, Alexander? The one with the leaky faucet and the view of the fire escape?" His body stiffened. His eyes, usually so guarded, widened with a flicker of something akin to panic. "The night we talked about building a future? A family?" I whispered, my voice barely audible above the orchestra. "That was the night Leo was conceived." His grip tightened, almost painfully. The music faded into a distant hum. His face, usually so composed, was a mask of shock and dawning horror. He finally saw me. Not Anya Sharma, the brilliant architect, but Anya, the girl he betrayed. The mother of his son. The woman who had come back to reclaim what was hers. He pulled me closer, his voice a low, dangerous growl. "How much did they pay you to come back and haunt me?" he snarled, his eyes blazing with a mixture of fury and something else. Something that looked terrifyingly like recognition. Everything I thought I knew about my anonymity just shattered. He stole a strand of Leo's hair. I saw him do it. Now the clock is ticking. If that lab report comes back before I finish the merger, I lose my son forever. My heart hammered against my ribs. A frantic drumbeat of fear and fury. Alexander Sterling, the man who once broke me, was now a direct threat to my son. And I wouldn't let him win. After the gala, Alexander's obsession with Leo became palpable. He watched me. He watched my son. Every casual question, every lingering glance was a calculated move. I saw him that afternoon, at the park, pretending to tie his shoe near Leo, but his hand wasn't on his laces. It was reaching for a stray lock of Leo's dark hair, a lock that fell onto the grass. He thought I didn't see. He was wrong. The DNA test. The ultimate weapon. If he got those results, my entire world would implode. My revenge, my carefully guarded secret, my son's future, all gone. I couldn't let that happen. I called in a favor, a ghost from my past, a hacker whose skills were as sharp as his prices. "Intercept the results," I commanded, my voice tight with desperation. "Whatever it takes." Back at Sterling Industries, the atmosphere was a battlefield. Alexander, fueled by suspicion, began to sabotage my project. Delays, missing files, impossible demands. He was trying to keep me here, trapped in his orbit, while his secret investigation ran its course. He thought he was clever, he thought he was controlling the game, but I was playing a different game entirely. Then, I saw her. Isabella, Alexander's wife. She wasn't just tracking me, she was watching me with a cold, calculating intensity that went beyond mere jealousy. Her eyes held a darkness, a desperation I recognized. She knew something. Something more than just a rival architect. She was a predator, and I was her prey. But why? My phone buzzed. A sharp, unwelcome jolt. It was my hacker. "The results are being sent now, Anya." I'm trying to block it, but... His voice was cut off by a sudden burst of static. My blood ran cold. I looked across the sprawling office, my gaze locking onto Alexander. He was at his desk, his phone in his hand, a notification flashing brightly on the screen. The results were in, and my hacker was 5 seconds too late. Everything I thought I knew about my control just shattered. The DNA results are on his desk, but I have something better. Proof that Alexander's own wife has been embezzling millions from his legacy. He thinks he's cornered me, but he's the one about to watch his world burn. Alexander Sterling, the man who once destroyed my heart, is about to discover that his perfect life is a lie. I walked into the boardroom, my head held high, my heels clicking like a countdown on the marble floor. The air was thick with tension, a toxic mix of power and unspoken history. Alexander was there, at the head of the table, his eyes burning with a mixture of fury and dawning realization. He held the DNA report, the paper trembling slightly in his hand. "Anya," he said, his voice a low, dangerous growl. "We need to talk. About Leo." The room went silent. The board members, usually so focused on profit and loss, were now transfixed by the personal drama unfolding before them. He was about to expose my secret, to claim my son as his own, but I wouldn't let him. I didn't blink. I leaned over the table, my eyes locking onto his, and dropped a folder of evidence against his wife, Isabella. "Actually, Alexander, I think we need to talk about your wife and the millions she's been embezzling from Sterling Industries." The silence in the room deepened, a heavy, suffocating weight. Alexander's gaze flickered from the DNA report to the embezzlement files. He looked at me, his eyes wide with shock and a dawning horror. Isabella, sitting beside him, turned a sickly shade of gray. She tried to speak, to deny it, but the evidence was irrefutable. I had her. I had them both. The board members began to whisper, their eyes darting between Alexander and Isabella. The merger, the legacy, the entire Sterling empire was now in jeopardy. Alexander was torn between the shock of his wife's betrayal and the miracle of his secret son. He looked at me, his eyes searching mine, as if he was seeing me for the first time. Isabella leaned in, her voice a sharp, desperate hiss. "You think you've won, Anya? You think you can just walk in here and destroy my life? If I go down, I'm taking you with me. I know about your past. I know about the accident that supposedly killed you 10 years ago." My blood turned to ice. She knew. She knew the secret Alexander's father had kept from him. Alexander looked from the DNA report to the embezzlement files, then at me, his voice a low, dangerous command that made my heart stop. "Get everyone out. Now." Everything I thought I knew about my safety just shattered.